Hey guys, this is Just One Guy, and this is my tutorial series, Unity for Noobs. Now in this episode, we're going to learn how to make a basic inventory. Now I've been just thinking about this for a while, so I'm going to just show you all a little bit of what I came up with so far. Now right here we have this basic inventory interface right here, and I'll explain a little bit of it. It's just a basic menu created in an old GUI system. Now I know they switched to Unity 5 with the new UI, but I don't like to use it because I like for my scripts to be ready to use right out the box with no real setup. And if you want to set up your own UI, I suggest you do it that way, but I will be going over it in later tutorials. Just right now, I just want it to be out of the box so you can just use it right away. Now I've set up a bunch of different guns here. Right now it just holds guns because that's how I set it up. And we have the red gun, the yellow gun, the blue gun, and the green gun. And over here, as you can see, we have a number of bullets we have and a number of grenades. I'm just going to have the red gun. Now it's important to note, with this new inventory system, each of these guns are actually different. Each of these guns has different damage it can do and everything like that. And in a later tutorial, I'll be showing you how to switch the fire rate so it can fire like a semi-automatic or an automatic weapon. And as you can see, when I shoot, the bullets actually go down, and if I shoot a grenade, the grenade go down. And if I run out of bullets, well, I'll just show you the grenades because I got about 100 bullets and that'll take forever. But if I run out of grenades, I won't be able to fire anymore. And that's the first part of the system. The second part is the different guns. If you press I, you can go into it and choose the red gun, the yellow gun, and these are actually different guns. It's not just a color swamp. These are completely different guns. They have different damage rates and everything like that. Or the blue gun and the green gun. I just said it like that because it's the easiest way to tell. I said it with different materials, but these are actually different gun models. It's destroying the old one and creating a new one. It's supposed to be in the hands, but my hand points a little off because I'm still working on the animations. And that's basically it. Now let's go over the scripts. First we have this item class script, and this is a basic script. It's just meant to hold the name of the object. We call this class in character inventory, and this is basically what the items are made out of. It has a transform ID and a name, which is just the name of the object. Now the transform ID is pretty important because I've made this system in a very specific way. In later tutorials about the next 2 or 3, I'm going to make this so you can do it online. Now it's important to note the regular inventory system, it won't work online. That's because we have to send an RPC to the game character on the other side, and the RPC only accepts ints. Now I've done this in a specific way where it reads the int. That way we can make this inventory not only savable, but we can also make it work online. Now currently it doesn't have online functions. I'm going to do that in the next update. That'll probably be my next tutorial. But that's what the transform ID is. It's important to note that the transform ID, this is the weapon class that goes on the actual gun, and this is what you use to instantiate the gun. And it'll make a little bit more sense later, but these IDs must be the same. That way it can call this a weapon by the ID. Now we're going to get into the character inventory. It may sound a bit complicated, but it all makes sense later on. Now we're using an old GUI system, but soon we'll be switching over to the new one. But we basically have our inventory, and that holds all the items. And then we have the boolean, use the legacy GUI system, which is what we're using right now, but we're going to change that later. And then we have the boolean to show the inventory. And then we have the inventory amount. Now this is something else I'll go over in later tutorials. It doesn't work right now. I've just set up the framework so we can put it in later, and this will basically limit how many weapons we can carry in our inventory. Then we have the weapon point. This is where we want to instantiate the gun, which is usually the hands, but that's what that is. Then we have the weapon to destroy. Now if we're holding a gun and we create a gun, we don't want to hold 2 guns because that would just confuse us and they would be at the same point. We want to hold 1 gun. So we destroy the old gun and then put the new gun in our hands. and this is the amount of ammo that we can hold, and this is the amount of grenade ammo we can hold, and this is all the weapon prefabs in the game. Now, as I explained before, I've done this inventory system in a very unique way. That way you can save it out to a file and use it online. Now, this is part of that system. We have another script called all weapons in game, and this basically holds all the weapon prefabs in the game. And at the beginning of the when this script first starts, it gets all these weapons, so we know which prefab ID to instantiate by which ID matches which weapon prefab, and that's how we instantiate it. And this is what does it. See, all weapons. Now, I've named the object Game Manager, and this script is set up so you need a game object called Game Manager, not tag Game Manager, name Game Manager, because it's just set up to find. And I set it up this way because it's a lot faster. If I were to use find object with tab, it would go through everything in the scene looking for it. This way it just finds it instantly, and then it gets the component all weapons in game. That's the script right here that goes on the game object, the Game Manager, and then it gets the weapons and it transfers it all. And this is set up so whether your character is an NPC or your character is a player, they'll all be able to find the weapons. Now, this doesn't mean they'll have access to all the weapons. That is controlled by the inventory. This just means that they'll be able to instantiate any weapon you give them. Next, we have this little bit of code. This is for the old legacy GUI system, and basically just what it does is allow you to resize to any size, and the GUI doesn't get messed up. And then we have, just if we hit the I key, the show inventory is gonna equal true. And next we have this little bit here. I was thinking about putting this in the Unity 5 GUI system, but I figure again I wanted to work out of the box. And this is just to display the amount of ammo and the amount of grenade ammo. Next we have the thing. If show inventory is true, it just shows the menu. And then we have the actual menu. Now, what this menu does is essentially it just cycles through the inventory, and then each one of your items has what I mentioned before, the transform ID, which is how we find it. And then on your actual prefab, we have a script called weapon class, which is the damage. I've changed the damage now, so the damage of the bullet that the bullet does is based on the gun, which I'll go over later. But and the knockback damage, which we're going to add later when we get into grenade launchers and stuff like that. But we have this ID thing right here that's important. Now, when the ID matches this transform ID, that's how it knows which weapon we want to instantiate, and then it creates that weapon. Now, the reason this is so important, because online, when we want the other character to instantiate a weapon, we'll just tell him the ID of that weapon and send it in RPC, and then it'll instantiate the weapon in, over the network. Now, that's how that works. It just matches the IDs together, and if the IDs match, it just creates the prefab. And then this is the prefab, it instantiates the weapon, it parents the weapon to the weapon point, and then it destroys the old weapon. And then it just has the exit button, so you can exit out of the screen. And yeah, I'm going to erase this update because we don't really need it. It's just going to take up extra frames. Then we have the weapon class, which I just explained, the damage with the amount of damage we want the gun to do, and then the knockback damage, which is going to be added later on for rocket launches and stuff like that, and then the ID, which is very important. Now, it's important to note that these IDs must be unique so that the game can tell the IDs from each other. Then we have the all weapons in game, and this just holds every prefab weapon in the game. Any weapon you want to instantiate, you just put the prefab in this array. And I believe, yes, I changed a little bit of the shooting. As you will start to notice, I marked the version so we can keep better track of it, because I realize I'm going to be constantly changing these scripts and updating them so they can do more stuff. So I find it easier just to put version 1.3 or version 1.1, and this will tell you how far we are into updating scripts. Now, in this one, it just basically checks for ammo, and the damage is now a little bit more randomized. Now let's go over that. Right here you can see it checks if we have the character inventory script, which goes on the character. Yeah, And then what's the name? If we do have it, it checks if we have ammo. And if we do have ammo, it'll shoot the bullet, and then it'll minus 1 bullet from our bullets. And up here, I believe, no, this isn't the script. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I meant down here. Now down here, in an actual first-person shooter game, you would never do the same amount of damage every time, because that would be boring. Now, to copy this, I've randomized the damage a little bit, and as you can see, it says the damage equals random range between the actual weapon damage and the weapon damage minus 5. This is minus 5 because the damage we need to do needs to always be negative, not positive, or you will be healing the person. So it's basically like weapon damage plus 5, and it chooses a random amount between that. And that's just to make the damage a little bit more random. So sometimes you'll do 15, sometimes you'll do 15.5, and sometimes you might do 20. And I think you get the drift. And in this one, I've changed it. Let's see. Oh, the damage is basically, instead of being a set 10, now the bullet will actually read the damage for the gun, and it'll equal that damage. You can see it. I've set it up differently now, and the gun tells the bullet how much damage to do, and that's what I've changed in this one. It's something small, but it required an update. And then right here, I've changed. We have the ability to use the ammo now, and you need the character inventory for the script to work. So I've put that up here just to make sure you don't forget, or I think it adds it if it has that up there. And basically, if you fire the bullet, it checks for the grenade ammo, and then if it has the grenade ammo and minus 1 from it, and fires the bullet, the grenade. Now let's go into the actual setup for it. Okay, as you can see right here, I have a object, the empty game object named Game Manager, which is what I put all my networking, save menu, and all weapons and game script on. Now right here, I have the weapons right here. You'll just in this array, you'll just put the amount of weapons you want. Oh, this is meant to hold every weapon in the game, though. It's important to note. So we'll just put all the weapons in the game on here, and then we'll put each weapon prefab in these elements. And I just have gun 1, gun 2, gun 3, gun 4, and that's how it knows which gun to instantiate. And then we have our character, and on the character I put a character inventory script, and then we have the inventory. Now you see, this is how it sets up. We set it up by size in the array, how many items we want, and then we go right here and put the name of the item we want and a transform ID. And the transform ID, hold on, let me actually get a weapon prefab so you can see. See, I have red gun, blue gun. These are actually different guns, as I was saying before. Now you see on this script it has the weapon class, which is the amount of damage we want to do. That must be set, which we want to do -10, and then the amount of the amount of knockback damage, which isn't in the current game currently, and then we have the ID set. Now you see that ID, how we know how to instantiate the weapon is because it says red gun and transform ID 1. So what it's going to do is this is going to instantiate the red gun, and that's how it finds it, because it looks at the game manager, and then the game manager has the prefab, and it looks into the prefab to see the weapon script, and it says the ID is 1, instantiate that, and that's why they must be unique. And right now this will allow you to hold endless weapons, but later on I'm going to change that to be determined by a certain size, because in a first-person shooter you would never want the person to hold endless weapons. You'll probably want them to hold 2 or maybe 4 at the most. And that's what this var is for later on, and this var is for when we switch to the Unity 5 system. And I basically went over all this, the amount of ammo we have, and then the amount of grenade ammo we have. And this doesn't need to be set, it sets itself automatically. It's just all the weapons in the game that gets it. And I believe that's it for the new setup. Let me just make sure there's nothing else. Yeah, the weapon class script goes on the weapon prefab itself. And the character inventory, it finds that weapon script automatically. It just needs, this gun just needs to be a child of the character, that's it. Which it of course should be, because I've put Oh, that's what I meant to go over. Apologies. I know it was something I was missing. I believe I used this as my weapon gun point. And this is the point I'm using to instantiate the weapon. I'm sorry, I should have went over that before, but yeah, that's the weapon point. And that's the point that I use to instantiate the weapon. Now you would probably use the hands or something, but this tells, I mean, that point tells the gun where to be created. And I wanted it created right there. And I've made that a child of the main camera instead of the, the hand, because the bullet's gonna be firing based on the main camera, so you want it to be a child of the main camera. And I think that's it. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you want to suggest a tutorial, please suggest a tutorial in the comments down below. Thank you for watching.